Hi, this is Morley and this is the M-Wire. In this video, we're going to look at how the Ghislaine Maxwell Deposition has finally been unsealed. Thank you very much to my new subscribers for subscribing. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so, as it would greatly help out the channel. Well, at long last, Ghislaine Maxwell's deposition has been released by the courts. The most appalling thing about this is that the alleged perpetrators' names have been redacted while the victims, some of which are still underage, have been published. How reprobate in nature is that? Whatever happened to protecting minors? Is that not a thing anymore? Unsurprisingly, Maxwell for the most part played stupid, obviously to protect those who have been implicated. Let's get into this thing. A court document containing detailed information about Ghislaine Maxwell and her relationship with late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein was unsealed on Thursday morning in New York, just moments before a court-imposed deadline. This document, an April 2016 deposition, is among about a dozen long-awaited Maxwell files that have been unsealed, with the first filing involving Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre's lawyer, alleging the British socialite avoided a question about allegedly adult sexual activity related to Jeffrey Epstein. She also had to distance herself from and play down links between Epstein and a former U.S. President Bill Clinton, who had used the financier's private plane. And Maxwell claims she did not introduce Britain's Prince Andrew to minor sex partners, in the tense and defensive deposition that was part of a civil case. While the name is redacted in the deposition, the description of events involving this redaction echo claims involving Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Maxwell was also asked about the speculation that Epstein may have performed shady financial work for the U.S. and possibly Israeli governments. She also provided additional information on her romantic ties to Epstein and how he provided her financial assistance. Asked if he had considered herself Epstein's girlfriend, Maxwell replied, "That's a tricky question. There were times when I have liked to think of myself as his girlfriend." In the deposition, Maxwell denied inviting under-18s to Epstein's homes, except she said the children of friends in a social setting, but fudged on whether or not she brought Giuffre, to a 17-year-old, to Epstein's home. Virginia Roberts, as her name was then, held herself out as a masseuse and then invited herself to come and give a massage, Maxwell said. Under further questioning, she had added she was a masseuse and informed she was my job. I was to have people who he wanted for various things, including massage. She came as a masseuse. The unsealing of Maxwell's deposition, which she had given during civil litigation against Giuffre, came after an appeals panel ruled it out that it could be released and a lower court urged a swift unsealing. Maxwell's lawyers failed to persuade the U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals panel to judges to overturn Manhattan Federal Court Judge Loretta Preska's July ruling to release the 418 pages of sworn testimony. The appeals judges decided on Monday that Preska rightly determined that the public had a right to access the documents. Sigrid Macaulay, partner in the Boies Schiller Flexner, who represented Giuffre, praised the unsealing. This is a long time coming and a welcome step towards revealing the evidence of the scope and scale of the Jeffrey Epstein Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking ring. The public should know today's unsealing is only a small part of the total evidence, Macaulay said in a statement. As the evidence comes out, it will be clear why Miss Maxwell and others who enabled Jeffrey Epstein are fighting so hard to keep it concealed. As our client, Virginia Giuffre, bravely asserts, they did not act alone. In the civil case where the deposition originated, Giuffre maintained that Maxwell drew her into Epstein's circle as a teen under the false pretenses of providing work as a masseuse. Giuffre alleged that Maxwell and Epstein pressured her to engage in sex with rich and powerful men, such as Britain's Prince Andrew. Giuffre's 2015 civil action said that Maxwell defamed her in claiming that she was a liar for alleging the pair participated in sexual impropriety. Prince Andrew was adamantly denied Giuffre's claims. Maxwell, who was arrested in July for alleged sexual crimes, conspiracy, and perjury involving Epstein, argued in court papers that unsealing the deposition from this old civil case will lead to a violation of her due process and a fair trial by an impartial jury in her criminal proceedings. Maxwell has pleaded not guilty in her criminal case. The Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office used her deposition, which Maxwell believed was confidential, in its perjury accusation against her in the criminal case, claiming she lied under oath. Maxwell, meanwhile, in her 2016 deposition, denied that she and Bill Clinton, who is among the rich and powerful men who interacted with Epstein, were together on a Caribbean island with the late sex offender. In this portion of unsealed documents, Maxwell avoided giving specifics on Epstein and Clinton's relationship. This is the subject of defamation about Virginia, and she lies as she told, as one of the lies she told was President Clinton was on the island when I was present. Absolutely 100% that is a flat-out total fabrication and lie. You did fly on planes, Jeffrey Epstein's plane with Clinton. Is that correct, she was asked. I have flown, yes, she replied. Would it be fair to say that President Clinton and Jeffrey are friends, Jeffrey's lawyers asked. I wouldn't be able to characterize it like that, no, Maxwell said. He just allowed him to use his plane, the lawyer pressed. I couldn't categorize Jeffrey's relationship, Maxwell said. Maxwell denied ever seeing Epstein having sex with anyone and recoiled at a suggestion in court that she had a three-way sex with Epstein and Jeffrey. That is just another disgusting thing, she added, Maxwell said of Jeffrey. She explained why she stuck by Epstein after he became a convicted sex offender in Florida prior to his being arrested in New York years later. I'm a very loyal person, and Jeffrey was very good to me when my father passed away, she said, referring to the late press baron Robert Maxwell. And I believe that you need to be a good friend in people's hour of need. According to the Associated Press, Epstein largely invoked the Fifth Amendment, which protects a person against self-incrimination, during a deposition later in 2016. Fifth, he replied when he was asked if Maxwell was one of the main women he used to procure underage girls for sexual activities. While his lawyer's lines of inquiry to Maxwell often raised more questions than answers, fascinating detail emerged about perpetrated government work by Epstein. Do you know if Jeffrey Epstein had any relationship with the U.S. government, either working for the CIA or the FBI in his lifetime? Maxwell was asked, prompting and objecting from her lawyer. I have no knowledge of that, she ultimately answered. Do you know if Jeffrey Epstein has any friends that are in the CIA or FBI? She was pressed, eventually saying, I have no idea. Are you aware of an investigation of Jeffrey Epstein early in the 1980s relating to the SEC? The lawyer asked her, apparently referring to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, a financial oversight agency. And are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein has told people that he has worked for the government to recover stolen funds? Jeffrey's lawyer asked. Maxwell denied knowledge. Has he ever told you that he worked for the U.S. government? Maxwell was asked, to which she replied, I have no knowledge. I don't recollect him telling me he worked for the government, she said. And Maxwell denied knowledge of whether Epstein was affiliated with or ever worked with the Israeli government. Yeah, I'd say she's being pretty evasive for these questions. It's a good thing she's locked up, though, and she still survived. I mean, I want to see her go to jail, as do many other people do. Thank you very much for coming along to my video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and God bless.